Good morning. We are going to be doing some work putting back together the plumbing today, and by we I mean Chris is going to do it. But we need to make some room out here for the bedding to get moved over. So I have to get this table down there.
So this is a pretty cool feature of our boat, is this table can drop and become a kind of a bunk for two pretty close friends. So the boat sleeps 6. So one back there where Will is, one right here where I sleep on occasion when it's too hot in the V berth. 2 people here, and then 2 people in the V berth. But because it's been so cold lately, all 3 of us have been in the V berth. So Sarah takes half, I take half, and then the very wide part in the middle is where William goes. It's actually the king size at the back middle, so we fit very comfortably there. So really with us 3 in the V berth, we still have 2 people can sleep there, 1 person can sleep here, so 2 other couples can accompany us on a voyage, which is coincidentally how many life jackets we have, because we have 3 for us and 4 extras, so it actually works out pretty perfect.
So right now we have too much stuff everywhere, so I'm kind of just playing that shuffle game where you
move stuff over here and then move it back over there.
Yeah, so
but right now I need to get underneath the cushions in the V berth so that I can get at the black water holding tank and hook that back up, because I removed it last year to get antifreeze and to drain it, which was pretty gross work.
You having fun there, Will?
Because we came back from Chicago after they had stopped pumping out, so we had to do it manually.
Yeah, it was nasty.
So
I don't think I have any footage left
you do,
of that.
it was, oh yeah, you lost all your footage.
I lost all of it, yeah.
But you have it in an episode, you could probably rip it from an episode.
But nothing about how like we didn't film like the how many trips, like 10, 11 trips to the washroom to dump up the buckets, like.
So I see a little bit of water here.
Oh no.
Right where we installed our depth sounder, but I'm thinking it's just leaked out of here, I'm hoping, and not through here. I don't see any obvious signs of leak at the depth sounder, just right at the base of it, which I know sounds like, oh well, that's an obvious sign of a leak. But it also looks like it has a little bit of a blue hue to it, which is the coolant that, like the antifreeze that we had in here. And I know that this is leaking because that's loose and cut and all sorts of stuff. So
let's hope.
I'm gonna wipe that up, lock these, and then monitor.
Hi, Mommy, we make a bed with a table. Yes, and we're going to playground. Yes, and we're getting J-pop for me.
Is that true? I guess if you tell it to the camera, it's gonna have to happen. We don't want to lie to our fans. Okay, the hose is wrapped around there. We're keeping busy while Chris is working in there. So William is kindly helping me with the vacuuming. And he fits in small spaces, so that works out well for me. There's a couple things that make it difficult beginning our cruising experience in the Great Lakes, and that is that you can't have a Y valve where you can flush waste out because it's a lake, and that would just be bad if everyone was doing that, just pumping their waste into the lake. So that's a problem. Our holding tank doesn't really fit a lot. I think we were finding that like if we used it, like the one time we actually did use it, it was like 3-4 days, and like we really and we really needed to pump out. And we weren't even really doing 2s in it. It was just pee. So it's not a big enough holding tank for what we need, but also it takes up a lot of room. Space that we could be using for other things, especially because when we're offshore cruising and when we're cruising for any length of time, really, we're gonna need to be able to store stuff. So that's 2 considerations, that the holding tank takes up room and that it also isn't big enough for what we need. The next part is that with all those through hauls, it's something that you have to be very mindful of maintaining. Like, we should have replaced the through hauls this year before we launched because they're all leaking.
عمسكون كل البيوت نام الكل إلا الغلابة عمسكون كل البيوت.
Well, good morning. The boat is put back together again, largely. I'm gonna change it up a little bit and put the table up today because my mom's coming to visit, and that way we can have coffees and stuff a little easier. I'm gonna put William's bed back together. He's watching a show right now while he has breakfast, and I'm gonna clean this room up. I think we got some stuff done last night. We were both exhausted by the end of the evening. I think we went to bed at like 10, which doesn't probably seem very late to most people, but as we're discovering, it's not just gonna be as straightforward, like, let's just do the electrical, let's just do this, let's just plug this in here and upgrade this electrical, blah, blah, blah. Because while that's happening, as I said, we've got leaks, we've got water seeping in underneath the settee, just stuff around us that needs its own maintenance, right? Like the teak and stuff. I haven't even gotten to that. Yeah, so I think we got one thing done basically, but we ended up having a really good chat about what our next steps are going to be, and I think that this weekend we're going to deal with the water. But here's what we did last night. Chris got the charger mounted up on this wall here. He keeps telling me, oh, it's not very tidy, I'm sorry. But I think it looks really good compared to the fact that it was sitting out here on the counter for a while with wires that went down here, pushed out the mat or the cushions, and then went into the battery box underneath. So this is now a lot tidier than it was. And now we kind of have a better idea about space that we're working with over here. And I think if we move the water tank into the bilge where we currently have the water bladder, and I think we'll try and make the water bladder work, that whole settee can now become storage. In order to solve one problem, but to facilitate solving other problems, we're gonna start with the thing that's the most annoying. And also, I think the thing that is the most desperate in terms of needing to be solved, which is the fact that we're gonna have mold and we're gonna have to replace all that wood if it keeps going, and we may have to. I'm afraid to look behind the wall there, to be honest. So this weekend we'll take off that front cover and find out what's going on in there. I wish that I had turned this camera on about an hour and a half ago when Chris came home, because the boat was just like all put away and it smelled nice and there was places to sit. And then I asked Chris if we were gonna work on anything tonight and now it looks like this. And it smells like fart because Chris has been farting in here. And I was looking for these wood screws that Chris was looking for, and I went into the bench here, and inside there is the water tank and also the pump. And we knew it had a leak on it, but didn't realize that it's actually leaking like everywhere. Like it's leaking out at the top of the pump, it's leaking out the side of the pump, it's leaking out the hoses, and it's filling with water. And then I realized too that there's a way that the water can travel, and that's a problem with water. It can get from here, where I've been vacuuming it up, and it can actually go under. Is there a flashlight? The water can actually, yeah, I'll get my finger out of there. The water can go underneath the bottom here where the pump is, because this, or sorry, where the tank is, because this is just a floating tank. It's not like the whole thing isn't just adhered to the boat. So the water's going under there and coming out, which we kind of knew, here where we've got a lot of water damage that you can see. And this is wet. Yeah, it's coming out. Coming out here. If I push here, I don't know if you can see that, but I can see the water squishing out the bottom. You see that, Chris? Yeah. So I can't vacuum that water out. I'm gonna shove a paper towel in there right now and see if I can soak some of it up, because while we're fixing and doing other stuff, this is quietly happening in the background. And yeah, so I'm gonna look for a new water pump because it's leaking at the top of the pump, and I'm going to try and get this as dried as possible. And I don't know how much I'm gonna turn on the water pump in the coming days, but we need it to wash dishes.
So we are changing our water pump and our water tank location this weekend. So we're entering this water tank now. I'm gonna move over the pump. I've ordered a new pump because it's leaking from all sorts of places, not just the hoses, but through the pump itself. I think it's end of life. So we've got to look into whether or not we can make new locations work for all this stuff. Wish us luck.
A little something on your face. Just right here. Yeah, you got it.
Mess over here. Yeah, a flashlight would help.
Flashlight will help.
So I can see, and so YouTube can see. Because I can work in the dark, but I can't film in the dark.
Why?
So what's going on?
I just unplugged the main filler hose. I think as soon as I unhook this motor, the pump, there's going to be a lot of water still coming out, I believe. So I'm not quite sure. I think I'm going to remove this mount that the pump was on, and then maybe try to get rid of the tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we
Which
can.
will be interesting though if we take that off and see what we're dealing with in there.
Yeah.
But if we do that tonight, then I have all the rest of the week, if it's nice-ish, to deal with
Clean that up and
cleaning
this
that
off
up.
and-
Yeah, that would be good actually.
take off this face and see if that tank pulls out.
Just rotten, yeah. That part's the worst bit. I'm actually nervous. You can't even unscrew those?
So we still need to take out these backing battens. We have to take those off in order to slide this out. I think I have to take the bottom or the top off, not both. So I'm leaning towards the bottom because the bottom looks like it needs to be replaced, whereas the top I'll probably just leave as is. It's a tight squeeze in there. So I almost had it out, but then I had fittings blocking me. So there's these two fittings here and here, but they're out now. So hopefully we can just slide it out and toss it on our foredeck. Oh yeah, it slides right out. Watch your feet. Can you soak up some of the water, Sarah?
Yep.
This is the front of our boat. It's starting to look like a pretty junky boat, so I'm gonna do a dump run. And this weekend, maybe drop off the ladder, stuff like that. We gotta start taking care of. So that hose you can see on the tank, that hose is the old, I guess, breather tube, so that the water can escape and there's not just a vacuum in there. Our new bag that we have, we shouldn't need another tube going through the boat, because as we use the water, the bag will deflate. So I mean, the fewer tubes taking up space on the boat, the better. Like, we have we have so little space and so many hoses and tubes and stuff going through it. So that's one less.
Like,
Hi, I'm going to get J-Pops.
yeah, that was funny.
And we're going to get ice cream.
I had to explain to him that the wind doesn't listen to us. We have to, right? Grandma says she saw your video too of you saying, "Stop rocking our boat."
Underneath your wind I saw